Well, howdy ho everyone, and welcome to Friday's edition of Reptile News. Now let's get right into it with our top story that nobody's going to hear. The story you've been waiting for. I actually reconsidered, and I started to realize that, as weird as it may sound, every time I put my face in front of this camera, I'm representing a portion of a community. Therefore, I have to be somewhat professional because anything I do might possibly be a bad representation thereof. So, that being said, you kind of know part of the story. I was actually going to share the whole story Wednesday, but I didn't do a show Wednesday. Check out the vlog if you want to know why. But I decided not to. You know me, and I have no problem calling a douchebag, but before I call someone a douchebag, I want to make sure they're a douchebag. So, that being said, I'm not going to share that story. I'm going to dig into it a little bit further, and we might go from there. And moving on to our real top story, our title story, Kourtney Kardashian apparently got a snake. Now, I'm not sure. They say a giant snake. It doesn't look giant to me. I'm not sure what kind it is. They don't specify that in the article I read, but she got a snake. Not sure if it's a good or bad representation. You know, we've talked about this before, where famous people getting into the reptile hobby. Could be good, could be bad. Everybody's kind of got their own point of view. But yeah, she got a snake, so that was news, and moving on. This show is just full of douchebaggery. 3 people out of Orlando are facing charges today for an illegal alligator hunt, but you might ask, how did they know that this was an illegal alligator hunt? Well, one of the stupid people, ranging from 17 to 24, actually accidentally shot one of the other people on this illegal alligator hunt, and apparently these douchebags were out in the middle of the night hunting for alligators illegally, and they bumped into each other, and one of their rifles went off, shooting one of them in the foot. Unfortunately, he survived the bullet wound, but fortunately they are now facing charges for illegally hunting alligators. And now moving on to Utah. You may remember Mr. Dick's DIX perverts. I hate having to remind you guys of that every time. Holy hell. Apparently the Utah Department of Transportation has filed court papers evicting him from his property. Now, you may remember Mr. Dick's has found another location and did say that it's going to take time to remove all of the 900 animals that he's keeping at the current location, and I think the Utah Department of Transportation makes our douchebag of the day because of this. Even though this show is full of douchebaggery, I think this is like the height of it until we get on to some of the other stories, but we'll get there. And yeah, they filed court papers attempting to legally evict him from his rental property while he's trying to move all these animals out to make way for their highway. Now, the names Cheeto and Poncho might ring a bell to you guys. We talked about these two a long time ago, where this man Cheeto performed publicly with a massive crocodile named Poncho. Now, while this is not, you may remember the picture of him kissing this massive crocodile. While this is not necessarily recommended for everybody, it is sad because Poncho reportedly died of old age, and there is no word on whether he's going to find another crocodile to continue his shows. And in super happy fun time news, a 2-headed king snake has been found. This, you know, 2-headed snakes are not as uncommonly heard of as they were at one time. This 2-headed king snake was found in the wild. A man was actually spraying for weeds outside his home when he found this snake. His first thought was to kill it, but then he thought, yeah, I'm going to call my friend, who happened to be a Tennessee Wildlife Resource Officer. The snake was eventually picked up and is being kept at Tennessee Tech University, attempting to help educate the students on mutations of wild animals. And moving right on, God, we got a lot of news today. A Lafayette man was actually arrested for having 10 snakes and 3 lizards in his car. He claimed that he caught them in Florida and was bringing them back to his home in Indiana. Now, I'm not super familiar with all of the different state laws within our country, but he was arrested for possessing snakes and lizards without a permit, and they don't even mention whether that's actually a bona fide offense. Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, he was arrested. He apparently down in Florida, field collecting, and got busted on his way home. And one story I saw that's not really a story that made me kind of sick, and this came out of Australia, but it's actually from Vietnam, where they say it's a wacky new trend for tourists to eat the still beating heart cut out of a live snake. Really? Oh my God, that's not news. Let's move on. The Department of Wildlife and Fisheries out of Louisiana has filed charges against a 51-year-old man for apparently illegally obtaining 150 alligator hunting permits. Apparently, he forged different names on these permits and got these permits to hunt on land that he did not legally have permission to hunt on. And they are saying since 2001 of these 150 permits, he has killed 149 alligators. He, of course, if convicted, faces up to $10,000 in fines and 15 years in jail, which, sorry, it ain't enough. You know, this 10 years, 159 forgeries, 149 dead alligators. I think that shows intent. Lock his ass up forever. Send him to Guantanamo Bay. Which leads us right into our question of the day. What do you think should happen for people that not just obtaining illegal alligator hunting permits, but people that obtain any illegal permits, or people that take part in hunting, whether it be field collecting or killing or whatever, with no permit? Leave a text comment or a video response, and that has been all your news for this Friday. If you'd like to read any more of these stories, that link's right down below here in the description. And as always, if you're still watching, my name is Jason White. Now you know what's going on in the reptile world. Be good to each other, and we'll see you on Monday.